I believe that technological innovation and nature do not have to be in conflict with one another. I believe that technology can exist to help the human, help land, help animals, help Mother Nature. This is what I believe in. I believe it can be done, and I have proof of it. I have proof of it in today's story, baby. This is so exciting. It's solar fucking punk, baby. Glasses on, papers up. Are you guys ready to rock and roll? Welcome back to Just Jenna. Before we get into the solar punk story of the week, should I? Oh, this is kind of bitchy. Okay, moving on. Okay, whatever. So here's the story. So there's a company called Halter, founded in New Zealand by a rocket engineer who built spacecraft at Rocket Lab before deciding that farming was a bigger unsolved problem. Makes solar-powered smart collars for cows. And if you know anything about me, you know I'm obsessed with cows. I have a cow tattoo right here. I grew up raising cows. This story is near and dear to my heart. Anyways, on its own, that sentence sounds small. It's not small. Here is what the collar actually does. The collar tracks animals in real time, their location, health, behavior, stress signals, whether a cow is eating enough, moving normally, or showing early signs of illness. There is a cow that now gets to wear a collar powered by the sun, and it helps not only the farmer, but the cow and the land all at the same time. And that is through machine language learning. Machine learning is what's so fascinating to me right now. And when you can use machine learning in a very specific type of way, like the cowgorithm, it just makes me feel like I can do that. And again, the cows are benefiting, the land is benefiting, the farmers are benefiting. Not only are they benefiting, like if you want to look at it in like a business perspective, like people are making money. So it's like, that's a win, but also like emotionally, psychologically, this is helping farmers in ways that you cannot even imagine. I mean, think about the fact like you have an animal, or you've at least been around an animal, or maybe you've been around a child or a baby that can't talk. If you were able to have an app that was telling you like, something here might be a little off, and it allows you to almost communicate with animals, with babies, with plants, things that we couldn't communicate with, but this is almost allowing us to communicate with cows. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is huge. A couple months ago, I was telling one of my friends, I was like, I have a prediction. I believe that AI is going to allow us to somehow communicate with animals. And I feel like this is pretty damn close. Not that we're hearing the animals' thoughts, feelings, and opinions, but it's able to give us certain information and key points that we need to know to make better decisions to help them out psychologically, emotionally, and live a better life. Period. And I'm like, that is solar punk. Each collar collects over 6,000 data points per minute and sends all of it to a cloud platform that a farmer can check from a phone from anywhere in the world at any time of day or night. Now, the reason why this is so huge to me is because, like I said, I grew up raising animals, farm animals, livestock. When you have if you have any type of animal, I'm like, this doesn't even have to do with livestock, but if you have any type of animal, you know, it's hard to travel, it's hard to do things because you always need to be making sure that the animal is being taken care of course. But again, I'm specifically thinking about when I had the cows and the pigs and the chickens and the rabbits, you name it. I had it. Like my family, we couldn't go on vacations over the summer when we had our animals. We couldn't go and do these things that we wanted to do because, oh my God, heaven forbid, an animal got sick. And I think about, if we would have had this collar that we could have put on our livestock and had an app, it would have been so much easier to go travel. Not saying that the animal is never going to get sick because it has a collar, but it's going to be able to track if it's more probable to happen, and then you can be more preventative about it rather than being reactive. Not only that, if you're out and about, you have your livestock, and you get a notification that there's something wrong, you can take immediate action. You don't have to wake up the next morning and see that one of your animals are sick. You see it in the moment that it's happening. So whether you're there on the premise to actually do something about it is neither here nor there, because you can at least call someone, have someone go and check on the animal, do whatever it is that you need to do. And obviously I know this company, it's like, I don't know, they're like a $2 billion company now. And so they have it. There's a lot going on. There's different levels of being a rancher, baby. Some people got a couple cows, some people got thousands. It doesn't matter. The point is that the animal is being taken care of in a preventative way rather than a reactive state. It gives the owner an incredible peace of mind because it's sitting on your phone rather than you having to go out and find the animal and then assess everything. Moving on. The collar also creates virtual fences. And here we go. This just fires me right up. A farmer opens an app, draws a boundary on a satellite map of their land, and the herd stays inside it. There's no wires for the animals to get caught up in. There's no post. There's no materials being wasted in making these fences. Gross. It's just wide open space, baby. It's amazing. I'm like, this is wonderful. You have to, no crew needs to install any of these things. You don't need to move the fence. You don't need to maintain the fence. When a cow approaches the boundary, the collar plays a directional auto tone, a gentle sound that says, turn around. If the cow keeps moving, there's a vibration. If needed, a low energy pulse, about 1/10 of the strength of a conventional electric force. Dude, because these fences, they used to harm the animal in some capacity, and now it's at 1/10 of the damage that it would cause. And I'm like, okay, let's go technology. Yes! This is great for so many people. It's good for the land. It doesn't have these fences everywhere, just mucking up the beautiful scenery that are rolling hills, okay? It's not mucking it all up, and it doesn't hurt the animal. That's solar punk. Like, that is solar punk, babe. Yes. Moving on. Where am I at? Okay, the algorithm learns the animals, and the farm runs. As of 2026, Halter's technology is deployed across more than 600,000 cattle in New Zealand. This is huge. Actually, sorry, New Zealand, Australia, and the United States. American ranchers have used it to create more than 11,000 miles of virtual fencing. Virtual fencing? I didn't know that term would even exist, and I love it. Virtual fencing. I love the idea of virtual fencing. So animals don't have to look at a fence, people don't have to look at a fence, and a fence doesn't have to live on the land. It's all virtual. Baby, I love it. That is roughly the parameter of the entire continental United States. That's huge. Shout out virtual fencing. Love that. Wow, I didn't know that. Cool. And avoided fencing cost alone, that is an estimated $220 million that did not have to be spent on wire and post and labor. You love it. We're saving trees. We're helping the cows. We're helping the farmers. I love when shit like this happens. Yes. Yes. In 2025, Halter partnered with the how do you fucking pronounce this fucking word? Holy shit. Bureau. In 2025, Halter partnered with the Bureau. God damn it. I'm just going to do this. In 2025, Halter partnered with the Bureau of Land Management in California to coordinate cattle grazing on public lands to maintain vegetation and reduce wildfire fuel. That's solar punk, baby. That's solar punk. No physical fences, no permanent infrastructure. Land stewardship. Yes, coordinated by algorithm at scale. Time magazine named it one of the best inventions of 2025. I concur. Oh my God. So, who does this help? The farmers. And obviously farmers are very sweet and near and dear to my heart because my sweet father, Steve. Dad, if you're watching this, I love the work that you do. Keep farming. Woo! But I am being silly, but I think growing up in a farming community and being a part of that ecosystem, I want nothing more in this entire world than to give back to farmers. They hold so much on their plate and they're at the mercy of Mother Nature. And it's just, let's round of applause. Can we do some editing for farmers in America? And I believe that with the advent of AI and technology, we can help make their lives easier as well. So who does this help? The farmers. American farm labor shortages hit a 20-year high in 2025, impacting over 60% of large-scale producers. Trigger warning. Farmer suicide rates in this country are 2 to 5 times higher than the national average. These are people working in isolation, carrying financial uncertainty, physical exhaustion, and the weight of keeping land and animals alive. Well, land, animals, and plants alive through weather and market conditions that are completely outside of their control. It's pretty much what I was saying earlier, but it's true. It's so true. Again, this is so huge for farmers because if you think about another job, like, I don't know, like a financial analysis person or a business, whatever the hell, or I don't even know, just like another job, they're able to make such data-driven decisions. But like this was saying, and like I was saying earlier, as a farmer, when you are raising something that is alive through the vehicle of another aliveness, aka land, soil, natural resources, like you're dependent and you are affected by the sun, water, rain, hail, just weather, wind. And then there's like the market conditions that you have no control over as well. Like you don't know how much your crops are going to be worth. And so farmers are such an amazing breed of person because they are able to work through all, like they don't need a lot of certainty. And I'm just like, wow, This gives farmers the ability to make a data-driven decision and be able to take a break and take a rest and be able to separate themselves from their land, separate themselves from their animals, from their plant, from their product. I don't know if you guys know anything about farmers or not, but they are specifically during certain seasons, they're very attached to what they're doing. Like they have to be. They're taking care of alive animals, alive plants, and all of these other things. And they need to be attached and need to know what's going on. They are literally sitting out there staring at their field, staring at their animals. Trust. A rancher from Colorado wakes up, opens an app, sees that the animal showed irregular movement patterns overnight, a possible early sign of illness. He catches it before it becomes serious. The animal gets care. He did not have to choose between being a good farmer and being present for his family. Yes, the technology made room for the human. You see what I'm saying? That's fucking solar punk. It also is helping the animals. Research on virtual fencing has shown no increased stress levels in cattle compared to conventional fencing. The pulse in 1/10 the strength of a standard electric fence. Half of all cattle learn to respond to the audio cue alone after about 6 interactions. After that, the sound is enough. The animal understands, and because the system is monitoring health around the clock, tracking digestion, fertility, behavior, and movement, illnesses get caught earlier than it ever could with a human eye, checking it periodically. The animal is not just contained, the animal is known. Growing up raising my own animals, I've always wished, I'm like, how could it be possible for me to speak to my animals? I'm sure, I mean, this is not a new thought, but I've always been like, I wish they could tell me. I feel like a cold's coming on. You know, when you're starting to feel a cold coming on, or you feel, I don't know, women who are listening to this, when you know there's a hormonal something going on in your cycle, oh, I'm going to be more tired during this week, etc. This is so cool to me because it is able to almost give the animals a type of voice. You know what I mean? Because now the farmer knows when the cow is fertile, where the cow is doing in its fertility journey. So what moods to expect, ways that you can help and aid this animal if you choose to. And it's just mind-boggling to me because now instead of being like, oh, why is this cow not eating? You'll be able to track, oh, this cow might be sick. Oh, I can do something. Or, oh, it's starting to act a little weird. I bet a cold is coming on, but you can potentially avoid the cold altogether because you're able to have better data about these animals. I just love it. I literally love it. Not only that, but the land. Because cattle can be moved precisely and frequently with sound cues, rotational grazing becomes something a single farmer can actually manage. Farms using Halter report 15 to 20% improvements in pasture utilization. The grass recovers. The soil can breathe. In California, cattle guided by virtual fencing are reducing wildfire fuel on public land without a single post in the ground. The land is not just being used, the land is being tended. And this is also so exciting to me because if you just have cows, for example, grazing in one part of the land, they need to be rotated. This has all been happening manually for centuries, okay? This is just like what you do. But now you're able to do it in a way where you can actually see through data on an app where the animals need to go to best utilize the soil. So that way, because the animal grazing isn't bad. No, cows need to be doing this. And so it's like, okay, you can place the cows in specific areas. That way the grazing can happen. And while they're over there grazing over here, taking care of all the, grass, whatever, they're now moved from this area that they were previously grazing, and then that soil now has a chance to breathe and bring more life into the ground, aka more grass. Then when that grows, then you move the cows back over here. That is solar fucking punk. Now, part 4. Why AI made this possible. None of this existed 10 years ago, and it didn't even exist 10 years ago because the technology required to build it didn't exist 10 years ago. So Halter's system runs on something that the company trademarked called the cowgorithm. I love a good name. I love a good branding. I love when things are done correct. Like, that is correct. That is the name for their machine learning system that powers everything. It is not one algorithm sitting in isolation. It's the entire intelligence layer on top of one platform. The behavioral control, the health monitoring, the pasture mapping, the real-time decision making, all of it's running simultaneously on solar-powered devices around the cow's neck in a field that has no cell service. Breathtaking. To build the cowgorithm, Halter collected more than 7 billion hours of animal behavior data. 7 billion hours, baby. That is the machine learning foundation that makes the collar smart enough to know when an animal is acting differently than it normally does. Smart enough to distinguish between a cow that is just moving slowly and a cow that is getting sick. smart enough to learn the individual patterns of individual animals across hundreds of thousands of farms. Before AI, before machine learning at this scale, before the miniaturization of computing power that lets a sophisticated model run on a device the size of a collar, this was not possible. You could not train a system on the behavior of hundreds of thousands of animals and then let that intelligence run in real time in the middle of nowhere. This is what technology has the ability to do right now. It's absolutely breathtaking. You could not give a single farmer the visibility of 100 farmhands. You could not create 11,000 miles of invisible fencing with a drawing on a phone screen. AI made that scale possible. AI made the intelligence possible. AI made it possible for one human being to care for the land and animals in a way that previously required enormous resources, enormous labor, or it simply didn't happen at all. Also, enormous emotional and psychological investment. This is the point that I think AI, or the reason why I am so excited about AI, is that it has been able to remove the psychological and the emotional labor that has gone into a lot of these jobs, but specifically this one. That's what I want you to understand about technology. Not that it is replacing labor, that it's replacing a farmer, replacing a job, and oh no, and woe is me, and oh hell, and oh shit. No. I want to talk about that it is able to amplify. It makes the human more capable to do what they've always wanted to do and what they've always known they could be capable of. And I'm just completely fired up by this. Humans win, animals win, nature wins, farms win, everyone wins, technology wins. Someone, like, what? I find this to be such a beautiful story. This is what technology is supposed to do. It's happening right now, and it makes me so excited. I don't think I said this earlier, but I'll put the organization or I'll put the business or whatever in the show notes, something, I don't know. But it's spelled Halter. And their website is halterhq.com. And that is my solar punk story of the week. I'm so excited to share this little segment with everybody. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I saw this story a couple of months ago and I was like, yes. This is what it's all about. Thank you guys so much for watching, tuning in, listening, sharing, please, commenting, please, like, please, subscribe, please. Honestly, anything that anyone does to interact with any of my content means the most to me in the entire world. So if you liked this segment, let me know. If you don't, let me know. If you have anything to say to me at all, please share it in the comments. I would really appreciate it. You know, someone's got to keep these lights running. As you can see, if you want to see better props, if you want better editing, if you want better lighting, if you want better video quality, you have to help me make more money doing this. Hello, people. We're on a tight budget over here. I want to share these stories. So like, comment, subscribe, please, for the love of shit. I'm doing so much to pump out content right now. Please, come on. I just want to talk about these sweet stories. And if you have any stories, ooh, that could be so fun. If you guys have any fun, sweet stories, give them to me. Let me digest them and let me share them. This is so cool. There are so many people doing really cool, amazing things to help not only people, but to help animals, to help the land, and to help nature. And I want to be a voice sharing these stories because I love to talk and I love these sweet little things. So thank you for tuning in. And I love you guys so much. Okay, bye.